most chaotic years of the Russian Civil War in 1917, 18, 19, 20. On the territory of Ukraine, it was hard to find anyone who didn't commit any pogroms at all. According to later investigations by the Americans, the most numerous cases of pogroms were conducted by the Russian White Armies, followed by the Bolshevik Red Army, then followed by the Ukrainian nationalist organizations, and in the end, even by the Ukrainian anarchist armies under Nestor Makhno. It's hard to say really who was responsible for that particular pogrom that killed Schwarzman's family, but later it turned out that probably it wasn't really that much a personal motive. Schwarzman was simply an NKVD agent that had been sent out on a mission to kill Petliura. And this was a common modus operandi that the Soviets would use. They used targeted assassinations against Ukrainian leaders quite often. Later on in 1938, they would do the same against Yevhen Konovalets, later against Stepan Bandera as well. But I will come back to those assassinations in future episodes. We still have some history to clear first. So if we look at the 1920s, once you could say that the dust had settled from the Polish Bolshevik War, there was a large Ukrainian minority that was created in the Soviet Union, and there was also a large Ukrainian minority that was living in the Polish Second Republic. If we compare the two and the political rights that they had in both states, Poland comes out better than the Soviet Union, but it must be said that in the initial years of the Soviet Union, there was a Ukrainian cultural and political revival. It's worth noticing that Joseph Stalin, which initially had been given the task by Lenin to come up with a policy for the minorities within the Soviet Union, he was very friendly towards these minorities. He claimed that all of them could pursue their national cultural identity. Later on, he would do a complete 180.
Of course, yes.
But in the initial years, he was quite positive to that, and he had the support of Lenin as well. So based on this, there was a Ukrainian Soviet Republic created, which would have importance for the Ukrainian cause throughout the history. They weren't a part of the Russian Soviet Republic, but they had their own. And within that framework, in the first years, in the 1920s, they, just as other minorities, were able to benefit from the official policy of kolonizacja, which comes from the Russian word for roots, or in Poland, korzenie, so very similar. So they wanted to root their national identity within the Soviet state. The bright shining star here was Mykola Skripnik, the energetic commissar that was in charge for the Ministry of Education. Thanks to him, there was an enormous upswing in libraries, cultural circles, different associations that were promoting the Ukrainian language, and within the sphere of education, the Ukrainian language was also prioritized. So a very important foundation was laid in the 1920s in Ukraine, and more Ukrainians were being taught Ukrainian. But as I mentioned previously, with Lenin dying in 1924 and the start of a power struggle in which, after a couple of years, Joseph Stalin got the upper hand, there was a reversal of policies. By that point, Stalin had become an all-Russian nationalist, you could say. He, despite himself being Georgian, you could say that he was more of a Russian than most Russians themselves. And in 1929, the suppression of anything Ukrainian started. So between 1929 and 1934, there were many trials against people that had previously had important roles in promoting and spreading Ukrainian culture. The energetic commissar in the Ministry of Education, Mykola Skripnik, committed suicide during the height of the Holodomor. So he was deeply crushed by this reversal in policy.
Adam, as usual, the clock is ticking away in the corner, which has defeated us, but we'll pick up the story next time if that's OK with you. There we are. I've had to stop Adam almost in mid-sentence, but don't worry. If you join us next time on Poland Daily History, as we hope you will, we'll continue this fascinating story of the history of Ukraine. Thank you for watching and see you next time on Poland Daily History.